In 1880, British organist and composer James Frederick Swift published the song Sailing, Sailing under the pseudonym Godfrey Marks. Also in 1880, an unknown Chinese artist painted this depiction of the ship Belle of Bath. Welcome to Peek into Paintings. I am Gina, the Education Director at the Penobscot Marine Museum in Searsport, Maine. Perhaps the most significant aspect of marine art is that it was client-driven. Ship portraits in particular were not done for art's sake or for collectors of fine art, but rather for buyers with a personal interest in the subject. Today, we value both signed and unsigned examples for their unique history and their attractiveness. For people interested in maritime history, these works are sources of information about the past as well as works of art. By the later part of the 19th century, marine artists, also known as pierhead or port painters, could be found in Europe, the Mediterranean, China, and the Northeast United States. As we've seen throughout the Peek into Painting series, the Penobscot Marine Museum has examples of ship portraits done in cities around the world. Let's look at this painting. Here we have a ship. And we know it's a ship because it has 3 masts and square sails. The flag over here tells us it's an American ship. The sky is blue with some clouds. The ocean has plenty of waves, but they're not too big. Some of the clouds and waves are a little dark, which adds some drama to the painting. And there's something off in the distance. As we zoom in, we can see there are birds flying just above the water. I can count 5 of them. Perhaps they're looking for their dinner. In the background, there appears to be a sailing vessel. It doesn't look like a ship like the Belle of Bath. See how each mast appears to have only 1 sail? It might be a Chinese junk. Here's a model of a junk in the collection of the Penobscot Marine Museum. A junk is a type of Chinese sailing vessel. They typically have up to 5 masts with 1 sail on each mast. The sails are battened, which means they have bamboo spines for stability. Coming back to our painting, let's take a look at the Belle of Bath. The painter really captured her beauty with almost all her sails unfurled. We can see many details on the deck, starting at the stern or back of the boat. There appears to be a structure protecting the man at the wheel from the elements. Here, the boats are secured to the top of the cabin. And we start to see the heads and torsos of crew members as we go toward the bow or front of the ship. In May 1877, the ship Belle of Bath was launched by the Bath, Maine Goss and Sawyer shipyard. She was built for Parker M. Whitmore and others and sold to Searsport parties in 1883 for $47,500. Several Searsport captains spent time on board the Belle of Bath, including William G. Nichols and Henry G. Curtis. Captain Clifton Curtis, pictured here, was the son of Samuel Curtis, Sr. and Eliza Jane Griffin Curtis. He was born June 4th, 1858 in Searsport, Maine. He took command of the ship Belle of Bath in 1888. While on this vessel, he saw 2 of his children born and his wife and 1 child die. He rescued the captain and crew of a sinking ship off Cape Horn. While sailing from New York in June 1897, he discovered 2 weeks into the voyage that the Belle of Bath was on fire. News of the event spread quickly and was covered by many newspapers, such as the Republican Journal in Belfast, Maine, and the New York Journal. Here's an article from the New York Journal published on Sunday, July 11th, 1897, and accessed on the Library of Congress's Chronicling America online database. Penobscot Marine Museum 2021 intern Billy McIntyre found additional articles from these newspapers through Chronicling America online database and used those accounts to create the following story.
Hello there. My name is Captain Curtis, and I would like to tell you all about my journey aboard the Belle of Bath in the summer of 1897. This would in fact be the last journey she ever embarked on, but thank the heavens above, not mine. The trip was doomed from the start, some say. We left New York Harbor on June 2nd with a load of 50,000 barrels of case oil, or kerosene as you might understand it. We were headed to Hong Kong. After only one day out to sea, we began taking on water. The leak appeared to be a minor one at first, so we sailed on, but after a few days, further examination of the leak proved quite worrisome, as there was now 26 inches of water in the hold. This was of great concern to me, as we had experienced no bad weather at this point on our journey. I ordered all hands to man the pumps, and with 2 pumps fully functioning, we were able to clear the hold. Our bad luck would unfortunately continue on June 17th as the leak sprung once again, and this time, much worse. The men continued the exhausting, around-the-clock task of operating the pumps, and at this point, I decided we should make port and reroute to Barbados to properly address the issue at hand. The men were on the verge of collapse and the leak was not getting any better. We were 150 miles or so east of Barbados when total chaos ensued. I was asleep below deck when I heard sharp screams coming from above. Cries of fire rang out as panicked crew members scrambled below deck. Crew members Peter Kane and Daniel Geisen first noticed a smell of smoke, and upon further investigation, saw dense clouds of smoke coming through a ventilator that reached between the decks. The fire soon began to rage and the smoke thickened, leaving us gasping for air on the deck. Luckily, I had previously ordered the lifeboats to be prepped due to the developing situation with our nagging leak. Knowing that the ship was a ticking time bomb with 50,000 barrels of oil ready to send us into eternal oblivion, I immediately ordered a full evacuation and the crew began the process of lowering the lifeboats. As we began to row away from the doomed Belle of Bath, I noticed bolts of fire creeping up the mast like snakes. I will never forget the way the explosion painted the night sky a menacing, bright orange, and how the burning fragments of my great ship shot into the air, sailing down to the water like fireworks. Once we were at a considerable distance from the burning ship, a great explosion echoed across the water, and the ship was burned down to the water's edge. We had barely escaped with our lives. I was able to collect all of my instruments, thankfully, and we began to make our way towards Barbados, shell-shocked but determined. A heavy sea was running, and with every sweep of our oars our little lifeboat was in imminent danger of being swamped. After an arduous and exhausting 24 hours, we arrived at Carlisle Bay just as the morning sun was lighting up the horizon. Some members of our crew believed that our ship was cursed. They spoke in newspapers claiming that bad luck had followed us from day one and that we were doomed from the start. One old sea dog even claimed there was a ghost haunting us aboard the Belle of Bath. I don't believe in that rubbish. That ship was a workhorse that made it through many moments of adversity on the high seas. I remember hearing about one perilous journey she took back in 1889. Headed across the Atlantic, coming from Liverpool, she encountered a full ice field along the way and had to navigate through a cluster of massive icebergs. Cursed? I don't think so, but I do have my suspicions. You see, the crew were exhausted from working those pumps, and it is my belief that while I was sleeping, one of them started that fire. I cannot prove it, but I am sure that is what happened. I suppose we will never know. Truthfully, we were lucky to have made it out alive, and even luckier to survive the 150-mile journey to Barbados in rough seas. The haunting creak of the lifeboat under the pressure of the crashing waves is a sound I will never forget. For weeks after the occasion, ships were still running into the wreckage left behind from the explosion, scattered across the water. One ship, the schooner Herbert Rice, picked up 325 cases of oil that was drifting alongside pieces of the Belle of Bath in calm waters near the coast of Jamaica. The oil belonged to the Standard Oil Company, and I have to say I feel regret that I captained a ship that was responsible for such an oil spill. I am looking forward to returning home to Searsport this July, although I think this year I will skip the fireworks.
Sailing, sailing over the bounding main, for many a stormy wind shall blow ere Jack comes home again. As I mentioned, the song Sailing, Sailing was published in 1880, the same year an unknown Chinese artist painted the Belle of Bath. The words of the song reflect the experiences of sailors at sea, and the Belle of Bath had more than her share of experiences. Let's take one more look at the Belle of Bath as we hear a 1926 recording of Godfrey Marks' song Sailing, Sailing, played by the Victor Concert Orchestra and accessed on the Internet Archive.